Now we are ready for what I always say is the heart of every patient and family conference when we get to hear from people that have walked the walk. And so, in a couple of seconds, you are going to meet people that can really speak to this from the heart. But my job right now is to introduce the facilitator, a very experienced clinician at Cancer Care Manitoba. She's a psychosocial oncology clinician and also a dear friend of mine. And so Arielle Godbout is going to lead the conversation, and I am going to pass the mic over to Arielle. So welcome and welcome everybody.
Thank you, Cheryl. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. It is afternoon. As mentioned, my name is Arielle. I'm one of our counselors here at Cancer Care, and I'm here joined by two couples who are going to speak about the way we navigate relationship with cancer. So at my very far side here, I have Cynthia and her husband, Drew. And then we've got Marie here and Jason. And I am going to ask them each to say a little bit about who they are before we get into talking a little bit more in depth. So Cynthia and Drew, please, what would you like to share about yourselves?
Well, as mentioned, we're Cynthia and Drew. We've been married for about 14 years now, been together for close to 20. We have two young children under 12, and we have been navigating an incurable cancer diagnosis since the fall of 2021. But we're here and we're eager to share some of that story and what that's looked like for us.
And just to clarify, Cynthia, it's you who have had the cancer.
Sorry, yes, I have the cancer diagnosis, yes.
Okay, thank you. And then Jason and Marie, why don't you let us know a bit about yourselves?
Sure. I'm Jason. This is my fiancée, Marie-Elise. We have the unique story of having met during cancer treatment. Both of us are cancer survivors. Marie has been in remission for a number of years now, having had Hodgkin's lymphoma. Myself, I consider myself a cancer survivor and cancer fighter, having lived with a chronic cancer diagnosis for the past 22 years, since I was diagnosed in 2003. But we met during cancer treatment in 2018, and we got engaged this year, and we're getting married next year, and looking forward to sharing a little bit of our story this afternoon. So thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank you, all of you. Thank you so much for being here. So I'd like to start by just some reflections on how cancer has either changed or shaped the relationship. Maybe I'll start, Jason and Marie, with you. How has cancer shaped your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it shaped it significantly. Yeah. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Well, first of all, I mean, we met because I think we talked about it, that we probably would have met either way because we have a lot of common friends, but it definitely was like how do you say, the catalyst of things? Like, yeah. Because we met through cancer treatment and everything, and I was telling a joke earlier that we're so millennials because we met in group therapy, and that's
through cancer care.
Yeah, through cancer care. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it started our relationship, but also it's shaping it a little bit day to day, I think. Like, we were talking about that this morning, how, as you know, the difference between us and couples our age, I think, is like healthcare is very much present in our everyday life. Appointments and like health scares and things like that are kind of like shaping our conversation sometimes and the way we plan things, I think.
Yeah, I think there's like some added stress with our relationship in terms of both of us being more focused on healthcare than your average couple would be. I have a very rare chronic cancer diagnosis. I have metastatic glioblastoma, which, as I said, I've been dealing with in one form or another for the last 22 years. So I see a lot of doctors, a lot of specialists, both through cancer care and otherwise. I have scans every few months, and so there's some added stress in preparing for those scans, preparing for other appointments. You have other medical appointments, and so I think there's a lot of work that we have in terms of supporting each other with those, communicating with each other, and trying to reduce that stress.
Yeah, like support through that.
Yeah,
One another.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think we'll return to that idea about some communication a little bit later. Cynthia and Drew, you had a relationship before cancer. So the question is more about how did cancer change the relationship?
Well, it changes a huge part of your life, and the relationship is part of your life, so it dramatically changes most things. Like they were saying, you're dealing with new responsibilities, new time frames, things, scans, lots of appointments. We have traveled a lot, so it changes everything. It's given me watching Cynthia go through this and what our family has gone through. It's given me a different perspective on things. It's made me, I think, not that I was impatient before, but it's made me, I think, a more patient person. You never really know what somebody's going through, and so, if I'm driving and somebody, I don't know, honks at me or something, I'm less likely to get annoyed about things like that, because you think to myself, I don't know what this person's going through. I don't know what kind of day they've had. I don't know what's going on in the background. But it does affect everything, and like they said, I mean, there's just so much that it changes, and it changes very quickly, from one day to the next, especially while you're sort of still navigating treatments and trying to figure out what's next if this doesn't work. It results in a very large change to your day to day, and also just planning for things. We have two young kids, planning things for them. Where are we going to be in a month from now or 2 months from now? So there's a lot that you have to think about. That and everybody's got, whether or not you're living with a cancer diagnosis or not, everybody's life has difficulties in it. This is just one additional one that we have to deal with.
I would also say, I think it's changed the dynamic of our relationship. It's shifted our perspectives a little bit, maybe. But I think it's also shaped our relationship. I think our relationship looks a lot different than it would have looked like had we not gone through this diagnosis. I think we're stronger because of it. I think we have a more open relationship. And I know when everyone goes into a relationship, there's that aspect of partnership, but this has really forced us to act as partners and to approach this from the perspective of a team. I think I have bile duct cancer. There isn't a lot of research or treatment for bile duct cancer. We've had to make a lot of really difficult decisions about my care. And I think, had we not approached that in the united way that we've done that, I don't know if we'd be sitting here today, whether that's because our relationship would look different or because whether or not I would be alive. So, I think it has both changed and shaped us as individuals, but also as a couple. Safe to say, I think it's also safe to say that it's given at least me, and I know for Drew, I can say that without him saying it, like a deeper appreciation for each other, and what we're capable of doing and accomplishing together. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the right communication and support, even something like a cancer diagnosis can bring a couple together stronger. I think we're a very motivated couple. Sometimes we overplan and we fill our lives with too much, but we're really just trying to squeeze the most of life, because we don't know how much time is guaranteed to either of us, really.
Yeah.
But really just trying to make the most of life.
Kind of what Drew was saying is changed perspective.
It really, yeah.
What matters? Not being on autopilot as much. Not that we're all going through life on autopilot, but I think a cancer diagnosis or knowledge of cancer can really make us be more intentional. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. So I think we use the words thoughtful and intentional.
And just not just about everyday decisions, but about our relationship, our relationship, and what we want that to look like. So absolutely, yeah.
I love the idea of a team, and it kind of leads into what I was thinking about next, which is about balancing the needs of two people in a relationship, especially where one is a patient and one is more in a caregiving role, because I think there is often a sense of one person's needs might be more acute and visible, but for I'll start with you, Drew and Cynthia. How did you balance that idea of each having needs?
Go ahead.
I mean, just like any relationship, whether or not there's a diagnosis involved, there's always needs on both sides. This changes them a little bit. It could add additional physical or emotional needs. I mean, I know, for example, before Cynthia was diagnosed and had gone through treatment, physically she was able to do more things. And it has resulted in me being much more involved in our children's lives. I used to work much more than I do now, and a lot of the time now I'm spending, ferrying kids around, and if Cynthia's too tired to do it. And that's actually, I'm happy that I'm more involved. It's unfortunate the way it happened, but I'm happy I'm more involved. And then from an emotional kind of need point of view, some of the things that Cynthia wants to do, whether it's, we'll go see a family in a different country, or those have become more important because the time frame we're dealing with to get that done is potentially shorter than it was before we got this diagnosis. So it's changed a few things, both physically and emotionally, and we do our best. I think we do a pretty good job looking out for each other and trying to make sure we're there physically and emotionally for whatever the other person needs. And that changes, from time to time, depending on if she's not feeling well or if I'm not feeling well. It goes both ways.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, looking at you as one of my caregivers, I recognize that there is a burden on caregivers, and I see for Drew that he has had to take on more responsibility, and I know that now that I'm living with this incurable diagnosis, that over time he will likely have to take on even more responsibility, and that's never going to lessen for him. And so I try to make I make the effort to acknowledge that, but I think I also try, and Drew's been really good about this too, is like still making time for Drew to just be Drew, like not the caregiver. And like Drew's been really good about allowing for me to not only try to accomplish things that I want to accomplish before my time is up, but also like just to be Cynthia through all of this. And then in addition to that, I think we've been working more so lately. We recognize that this was maybe a gap for us, but in still just being Drew and Cynthia together, like still making time to just be this couple that has existed for 20 years that is more than this cancer diagnosis. So I think, it's just like recognizing that there are some individual needs as a caregiver and a patient, but also recognizing that you still have these human needs and these relationship needs. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And go. I know your situation is a bit different, but please go ahead with some reflections.
Yeah, I think maybe bouncing off what Cynthia was saying, the fact that we both had/have cancer kind of helped shape that too, I think. Like, when I was diagnosed, I had just moved here, so I was on my own here. And I think it taught me that as a patient, I have to voice my needs a lot more, because I had no one to like ask for them, I guess. And so I think there's that, like when I need something, like you coming to an appointment or something like that, I think I'm more open to like say it like it is, but also understand that like you have your needs too, and they need to like not match, but like be supported as well, and that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think having that unique perspective of both of us being patients and both of us, seeking care and support from other people at different times during our cancer journey. So we've seen both what we need as a patient, but also the impact that is on a caregiver. So I think we've learned that communication is key. If you need and being there to support each other. If you need someone to come to an appointment with you, if you need to talk about something that's really bothering you, that you be vocal about it and you reach out for support, and you don't be afraid to reach out for that support. But at the same time, like knowing that the caregiver themselves will need some time for themselves, and they may need someone to talk to.
Yeah, we're thinking about that, like not being like I don't really have family here or anything, so I know that if I need extra help, like if something happens, like I should ask for a therapist or something like that, like looking out for a venting space, maybe, like I'm saying that, like a support space that's not necessarily the patient's responsibility all the time to do for the caregiver, but also for the patient to understand that there is a burden on the caregiver, and to leave them the space and look for help too, and support outside of the unit in a way. I think we're both very fond of like therapy and stuff, and like we've sought help outside at different stages of this journey, I think. So
yeah, that's how we met,
like,
right? In therapy.
Well, even after and things, I think we know when to voice our needs, but also when it's, I think, time to look for external help in some ways, like for health, for mental health, for different types of things.
And I think for caregivers, and we know this like both through our cancer journeys, that sometimes there's the caregiver is unsure what to say or how to support the patient, and I think at the core, the most important thing is just that they're there, and they're communicating with the patient, whether it's talking about their cancer diagnosis and their treatment, if the patient is comfortable with that, or just talking about anything, talking about the weather, talking about sports or whatever, but just being there and being communicating, being present. I think that's the most important thing. A lot of people just like feel uncomfortable, I think, around people with a serious illness or an injury, and they don't know what to say. So sometimes they just avoid the situation completely.
Or they think what they lived through is not as bad or something, so they shouldn't voice. I think it comes back to what you were saying, like just stay ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe like finding space to just be. Yeah.
Yeah. So those moments of, it doesn't have to all be serious conversation.
Yeah.
Right. And that's actually a key part to not letting cancer take over a relationship or take over a life. Is space to just have normal moments. So communication is a huge part. I've heard the word come up multiple times today, and just about that balance of sometimes it's not, there's things we don't want to say or we worry about saying in front of someone, and it is appropriate to seek maybe a counselor to talk through some of those things. And at the same time, there's that awkwardness, but sometimes it's about a fear of hurting the other person. Jason and Marie, do you have any thoughts on that dynamic of that balance between communication and wanting to be open, but also worried about the impact of what you might say on your person?
Sure, that's something that I struggled with for a really long time. I was diagnosed in 2003, and between then and 2010, I had a number of major surgeries and radiation to deal with the cancer in my head and neck. And when it metastasized to my lungs in 2010, I was really scared about telling anyone outside of my doctors and my immediate family. I was scared of the potential stigma. I was, scared of people, telling people that at work and how they might think about it, because I wasn't getting treatment immediately. They were kind of monitoring things, so I didn't want people, asking tons of questions. But in retrospect, I don't think it was the right decision, because I wasn't being open with people, and so I wasn't receiving support back, and it was very lonely for a number of years, until I started chemotherapy in 2017, and started reaching out for support through Cancer Care and in other spaces as well, and that really, I think, helped become a stronger person and really heal through the cancer journey. But at the same time, I still had my guard up a little bit about how much, I would share about my health situation. And so about a year and a half ago, I had, what is now kind of a minor health scare. But I thought it was something more serious, and I went to the doctor without telling Marie, and without being open with her about what I was nervous about. And when the healthcare turned out to be nothing, I told her, and obviously, she wasn't happy with me. And we had a discussion about the importance of being open with your partner, and that was not something that I was used to for a long time. Being in a relationship with somebody where I had to be open about my cancer journey, and it felt so much better being open with her about it. And since then, I've shared, all the various details and everything I'm nervous about. So I think it's just a real lesson about honesty and communication, and getting that support back, for having the, kind of the bravery to be, open about your cancer diagnosis.
And Marie, in that moment or in that situation, as the support, you wanted to know.
Yeah, because I think I could have helped, and I didn't see the point of you just being stressed on your own, and I didn't think it's just like a trust thing too, and maybe I'm not used to it because I might be somehow TMI with my health stuff, I just told everyone from the get-go. I was like, there's no way I hide it anyway, I'm gonna lose all my hair and everything, so whatever. And I think the first time we met, I was taking antidepressant because cancer, COVID, everything, and I was on my own here, and I was very open about this too, I think it's just the people who love you just take you as you are. And yeah, you just need to communicate things and be open, and it's just easier, I think.
Thank you.
To have someone who knows everything.
Yeah, thank you. Drew and Cynthia, what have you learned about communication and the interplay with the fact that you're going to be talking about things that are emotionally charged?
I think at the very beginning, when Cynthia was diagnosed, it was, I think maybe we tiptoed around things a lot more maybe than we do now. You know, there's a lot of big feelings, a lot of big emotions when you get a diagnosis like that. Got to think things through, and at that point, you know, although you know your mind always jumps to the worst possible outcome, you don't really want to talk about it. You don't want to plan for it or anything like that, because it's unpleasant. We've been dealing, Cynthia and I've been dealing with this for 4 years now, and so having those harder talks has gotten easier. Just like time helps. I certainly wish that maybe at the outset we were more, we talked about it more head on, but it's difficult, and I certainly understand why people want to keep things to themselves, and why they wouldn't want to, especially when something like this is going on, talking about life and death and things like that. They're heavy topics, and so we didn't really talk about them at the start. We're much more open about them now. Part of it again is just time that's passed, making us a bit more comfortable talking about it. But we also, we're looking at sort of the reality of where we're at, and trying to sort of honor each other and be honest with each other. So that each person knows how the other's feeling, and like they said, I mean, if you've got something that's bothering you or something you're worried about, keeping it to yourself is a lot worse than sharing it with your partner, because they can help. Even just talking about it usually helps. So I think, I mean, I would encourage anyone to be upfront and honest with your partner as much as you can at the outset. Because it makes things easier. It makes a hard situation a bit easier.
I think I like the term, you find strength in vulnerability. And I think that we have not only been more vulnerable with each other, and I would actually give us a bit more kudos than you gave us. I think we've been I think we've worked hard at being open and honest, but I would agree. I think that in the beginning it was a lot scarier to have those big conversations.
That's a better way to put it.
We did access the psychosocial oncology supports through Cancer Care Manitoba. We saw Cheryl, who has been instrumental in helping us in facilitating a lot of those really complicated conversations. Some of those conversations for us are, what do I want to see for Drew and the kids when I'm no longer here? And I don't know if we could have had that conversation without Cheryl's help. So I think it's so important to access the supports that are in place. I do know that we make an effort to have conversations about feelings, thoughts, fears we set time aside for it. So where there's no distractions. And for us, a lot of the time the distractions are the kids or their work or whatever it might be. So making sure that we set time aside for that. And then also I kind of have a little trick for myself now, where if I know that I need to talk to Drew about something that maybe isn't going to be easy for me to say, or it might not be easy for him to hear, I'll text him. And I'll tell him, look, I want to talk about this. And then that gives him time to sort of process, think about it, sit with it. It gives me time also to process and sit with it. And then we can come together and have those conversations. I think it's really powerful where we've come to be able to talk about real things. We have so much hope still. I'm not planning on going anywhere anytime soon, but it's so powerful to be able to have real, raw, honest conversations about what comes next. And I'm really proud of us for doing that. But I'm also super grateful for the supports that we received through Cancer Care Manitoba. And like I said, I would encourage anyone to access those supports, especially in the setting of your relationship. I think it's critical. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You know, there was a little bit of a touch on this idea of the future. What does planning for a future together and living a life as a family look like in the context of cancer that is either incurable or at any point could come back? Maybe I'll start here next to me.
Yeah, future planning has since I was diagnosed in 2010 with the metastatic disease. The planning has always been with the diagnosis in the back of my mind. I don't think it stopped me from planning for the future, because that's always been a mindset I've had from a fairly young age. Just always trying to plan what's next. And that's, it is a more difficult thing when you're living 3 months at a time, and each scan that you have could bring new results and kind of sidetrack your life for a little while. So that's a difficult thing. But I think having, being in a supportive relationship and being able to plan together helps a lot. Things like, getting married or having kids, that idea scared me, I think, for a long time after the diagnosis, because of that uncertainty. You don't know how much time you have, how long, the medication that I'm on is going to continue keeping things stable. And luckily, it has for a long time now. But I still live with that uncertainty. So I think we keep that in mind, but it doesn't really stop us from planning. We just have to, do that planning with the awareness that at some point we may have to deal with something that kind of throws a curveball at us.
I think that's for everyone, though. You never know.
Yeah.
Really, and that's something I realized. I was talking about that with you. Before having cancer, I had a couple of friends pass away from completely other things, younger than I was, and so there's a limit to life. I think maybe you're not as much aware, but everyone lives in a form of uncertainty, and I think I was talking about that too. I think I encouraged that when I was younger. I was a musician, I still am, so living in suitcases 3 months at a time was my normal. I think if cancer did anything to me is turning that around and making sure that my environment is stable. Having a stable relationship, having a stable job, a stable, income and everything, which I don't think I was thinking as much about. So I think it shaped more my decisions than really how I lived life. Decisions, we're talking about that too, decisions about the employment you want, like turning down things, or in my case, switching career entirely, to be able to feel that need of stability within that uncertainty that things can change. So you want to have a foundation or something to put that on.
Yeah, I've always had that feeling of kind of living in the in-between, between being healthy and being in treatment or whatever uncertainty that brings. But I think the two of us just talking through those uncertainties really helps. And I guess, like, as a metaphor, I think for a long time before I met Marie, the uncertainty is kind of like a really heavy object that you're holding on to, and it's kind of like interfering with you, maybe doing certain things. But having someone who's gone through that journey and understands some of the uncertainty, kind of like, she helps kind of lift that weight. So it's a little bit easier to live, with that uncertainty in the background.
I love that metaphor. That's a really powerful image. Speaking about in between reminds me of something, Cynthia, you were saying before we all got on stage today. Do you want to share a little bit about kind of uncertainty and living in between?
Yeah, I think what we were talking about was how life is uncertain. It's uncertain for all of us. And then you're diagnosed with cancer, and or maybe it's some other major life event that occurs, and that uncertainty is amplified. And then you're faced with, like in our case, faced with an illness that is terminal. And it brings this idea, this sense of liminality to life. And what that is it's this space between when you were healthy and when you found out that you weren't healthy, and impending death, really. And it doesn't mean that I'm going to die today. It doesn't mean that I'm going to die tomorrow. We like to say, I think initially I was given months to live, and here we are 4.5 years later. So that limited time isn't concrete in length, but it is concrete in that this is what will end my life. And so it is this space that you live in where you know that your time is limited. And so there are some internal pressures to really live life. I pushed myself sometimes to do things. And then there's external pressures. Sometimes, we might feel it from outsiders of what we should accomplish or what we might want to try doing. But I think one of the things that we've done is we've tried to balance some of those big memory makers, like big trips with the kids, or really amazing birthday parties, or Christmases that you'll never forget, with recognizing that like real life, like real deep love and life and joy and hope, those all occur in these like mundane everyday moments, right? And so we have this appreciation for just life and living through this disease, living beyond this disease. And we plan, we have plans for everything. I mean, 2 years ago, we planned to go to the Taylor Swift concert with our daughter. We bought tickets. My disease was very advanced, but we bought those tickets and we said, we're going. And when that was 18 months before the concert. And when the concert came up and I went, I think we were all we were more excited that I was going than that we were going to see Taylor Swift. Well, maybe our daughter wasn't. But, just to circle back, it's like when you learn and accept, and I do have a radical acceptance, and so does Drew. When you accept that your time is limited, it is concretely limited, you make this choice, right? You have a choice. You can let it consume you, or you can let it be a part of you, but you can continue to move through life with purpose and love and joy and hope. And I mean, that's my hope for anyone in this position, is to be able to do that. But it really does take, like, we couldn't have done that without both of us playing a vital role in that. And so I'm really proud of us for that.
You're absolutely right about the potential for cancer diagnosis to completely consume someone.
Yeah.
I mean, it affects every part of you, physically, mentally, emotionally, just everything. So trying to, put it away at times and being able to focus on other things and having someone else who can support you in doing that. And really, enjoy the good moments and also just the normal moments of life is a really important thing. Otherwise, it can just consume you and really paralyze you from enjoying life.
Yeah. And I'm hearing almost a subtext here is there's still waves, right? You can be doing well, and there's still emotional waves. And being attuned to that is part of going through this, not expecting like that you're going to come to a place of just acceptance, even if we've got radical acceptance, and then everything's going to be easy.
Right.
How do you manage that on a day-to-day basis? The fact that we've talked about that the Taylor Swift concert, but is there days that it's harder to manage the uncertainty, and how do you cope when that comes up?
Yeah, I think just some just general acceptance and self-compassion for yourself. I think I had a feeling after my first go around on chemotherapy. It was about a year of chemotherapy, and I was so motivated and so excited to start enjoying life again. And I thought everything from this point on was going to be wonderful. Everything was going to go well for me. And then you realize life has its ups and downs. And you just have to come to accept that. That there's even throughout your cancer journey, you're going to have good moments, and you're going to have bad moments, and you just need to enjoy those good moments, enjoy the positive interactions that you have with people, and just put away the negative interactions, and not worry about those, and just know that there's going to be some downtimes, but they're not. Those are just hopefully temporary.
Too, I think you have to give yourself some grace too, right? Like
Yeah.
self-compassion and
Yeah.
grace. And I mean, I have a lot of fear, I have a lot of anxiety, I have a lot of anger. I mean, those are real feelings. I have those, and I know you do too. And so we have to honor those feelings. And so we sit with them, and then we move along with them, right? But I also think it's about living with uncertainty is also about being able to like shift, reframe, have a new perspective. And so you kind of learn to like literally go with the flow. With my disease and treatment, it's typically a month to month, sometimes week to week. And so we've become experts of like, this is what the plan is today. It might not be the plan tomorrow. And that was really hard at first, but we're getting better at it. But I think, just to go back to that, I think it's just giving yourself some grace and allowing yourself to feel the impact of uncertainty, and that those are big feelings, and you do have to sort through them before you can put them aside and move forward, right? Yeah.
So it's not just, I'm going to open the door of acceptance and walk through.
Yeah,
the
no,
work.
like part of acceptance is accepting everything, all the feelings that come, right? It's not just saying like, oh, I've accepted and I'm good.
Yeah.
Because you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend tell me once I was a little bit healthier after. She told me, you're allowed not to be okay, which is like probably the best, paraphrase thing. Even if you're healthy or something, there's always going to be other stuff. And you're allowed to not be okay. You're allowed to like be sad and be angry and stuff like that. And I think that goes with the self-compassion. You just have to live it and then move on.
You know, I'm just reflecting that I think often when people who haven't lived a cancer experience think about cancer, or when they're just diagnosed, they might think life is ever only going to be good again if I get through this, and if I'm in the all clear. And what we have here is people who are sharing that that's actually not the case, because I'm hearing we've got people where there's, you know, stable managed disease, or there's you know, an incurable situation. There's people in remission, but I'm hearing from all of us here, and Drew supporting that person that life can still be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, there's, as everyone's pointed out, you're going to have a lot of like big feelings that you know, anger, fear, resentment. But you know, if you choose to live your life and to live it in a way that with happiness and with love, you can still have, you know, a wonderful time together and a wonderful life. You know, we you know, notwithstanding this awful thing we have going on, we have a lot of really great things going on, and you know, we look to those for happiness. And sometimes when we're down, it just takes you know, one of our kids to come in and you know, say something funny, and it kind of it makes you, it takes your mind off it a little bit. I mean, it's the thing is, it's always in the back of your head. You know, some days you wake up in the morning and it's not that you forget, but it's not the first thing you think about. It eventually, I mean, typically anyway, you remember that this is our life. This is what we're dealing with. But it's not the end of anything. It's not the end of life. It's not the end of the relationship. It's just everyone has their thing that they deal with. This is just our thing. That doesn't mean we can't be happy. That doesn't mean we can't live our lives fully. It's just that's our thing. It's more difficult than some people's thing, but and not to minimize, but it certainly does not stop you from living a happy and full life together, both as personally and as partners.
Thanks, Drew.
Yeah, I used to think what you were talking about. I used to think that I would only be happy once I no longer had cancer, and I kept looking forward to that point. Where, you know, I'd be living without a cancer diagnosis. And when it became clear that it was chronic, it changed my perspective, and I started to wonder, you know, how am I going to continue to enjoy life with this diagnosis? And I started to realize that, you know, you just have to keep going, and you know, the cancer diagnosis is just going to ride shotgun with me through life. Fortunately, I found someone else who's going to ride shotgun with me, and you know, here we are, two cancer survivors. You know, cancer being something that intended to break both of us, or potentially take our lives away. Instead, it brought us together and made us, you know, two stronger people together. So there is a way through life, even with cancer diagnosis that continues on. Everybody has to just, you know, find their own way through it, but there is life, and good life, with a cancer diagnosis. And beyond the cancer diagnosis as well.
I like to say that I'm living with cancer, and I always uppercase all of living, because like we truly are living with cancer. And yeah, I think to that point exactly, I mean, I didn't have the option to wait until the treatment was done, and so I remember one of the first things we said was, well, we can't wait until it's done. And I remember saying to the doctor, this isn't like, this doom and gloom here isn't really my vibe. So we made that decision right then that life would continue. It would look a little different, but that it would continue, and that we would still live fully despite cancer. Yeah.
Thank you all. I think we have a few questions from our participants. So the first one is, what are some of the non-cancer-based activities you do to foster communication and connection with each other? Maybe I'll start, Cynthia and Drew, with you.
Sure. Non-cancer based?
Non-cancer based.
We have a lot of non-cancer based activities.
I guess a lot of our time is spent, with our kids.
Yeah, I think, we're kind of in a season of life where like our lives
because they're
revolve
11 and
around
9, and so
children.
there's a lot of that, and even just sitting down at the end of the night to say, okay, I'll get this kid here and you'll get this kid there. Just it's a lot of just normal stuff. But I mean, it's a nice normal, because you're dealing with stuff that couples that are not dealing with a cancer diagnosis are also dealing with, so it sort of injects an element of normalcy into your life. But I mean, kids stuff mostly,
like going out together.
We like to go out together.
Going away together.
Yeah,
sending the kids off sometimes and having our time together. Just really setting aside. It has to be intentional because of what our lives look like. Just having time to do things together that we both enjoy that are completely unrelated to disease.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a little bit. Well, we don't have kids, so there's maybe it's easier to just sit down together. But I think we do a lot of things to foster that. Like, I mean, just at the end of a work day, just asking like, what happened during the day, blah blah blah, and it's always a continuous communication. Like, what's overwhelming you right now? Like, what happened that was good, and plan time aside like for dating and things like that, like going on dates and eating meals together and having open conversation. I think it's just like a day-to-day thing, maybe.
Yeah. Marie's an excellent cook, so we spend a lot of time in the kitchen, and that's a way of connecting, just cooking together and eating together. We love trying new restaurants.
Yeah, I think the food is right.
Food is a big thing for us. And just going out and trying new things. Marie's always introducing me to different new activities, and we love going to the theater and the symphony, and it's just finding things to connect with each other, and just exploring shared interests. Yeah.
Great. And I think our next comment is just a comment to thank you all for sharing. We've got a little bit of time left, so I'm wondering, for people who might just be starting with cancer, they're just at a diagnosis, is there something about supporting and knowing that it's not always a couple, right? Sometimes it's a parent and a child, siblings, a close friend. And, Marie, I know you talked about going through this alone without anyone nearby, but is there anything that you would say to people, whether patients or families coming in, not you specifically, anyone, just about what you would have needed to hear at the very beginning that might have helped you moving forward? Kind of a broad question, but
I'm not sure like I could pinpoint what I needed to hear. But I do know that, as I said, I was very open with my work colleagues and everything about diagnosis, going to biopsies and everything. And I think it was important, and it gave me the support I needed here. Like, there's a lot of people who were like, oh, I went through the same thing. Do you need rides to the hospital? Or do you need a meal? Do you need to, do you need someone for your pig cleaning or whatever? So in the end, I had a lot of supports from, at that point, strangers, really, just because I was so open about things. So I think for me, it's just that, like, if you're open, sometimes you get stuff that you didn't know you needed.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think for someone who's diagnosed with cancer, I often use another metaphor. It's like if you have like a 2-liter bottle, like 75% of that bottle is filled up with cancer stress, and so you have a limited capacity to deal with other things. So just being there for that person. What can I do to help? And trying to take some of the stress away from them. I think that's helpful. When I was first diagnosed, I got both too much honesty about what was going to happen to me, and also sugarcoating from various people, and neither is great. Trying to find some sort of balance of being, honest and with them about what they're going through, without dismissing their concerns about what they're dealing with. I think is really important.
I think one thing that was said to me that sorry, I'm touching my mic. One thing that was said to me that I really appreciate was it was Drew. So 2 parts, just one thing that someone did say to me. So as a mother, I felt a lot, and less so as a partner, but as a mother, I actually felt a lot of guilt. And that was when we knew that my disease was incurable. I felt a lot of guilt about what that meant for my children. And I think one of the things that Drew said to me the day we found out that my cancer had metastasized and that it was incurable was, it's going to be okay, even if you're not okay. And I think as a mom, that was I really needed to hear that. Sorry, to know that that my kids would be cared for. And so I think for all the moms out there that are diagnosed with cancer, letting that mom know that their kids will be okay. That's huge. That was a game changer, and I'm so grateful he said that to me in that moment, because it actually, just took a weight off of me. And then in terms of something that maybe someone didn't say to me that that maybe I wish people had was not so much something people said, but something people did. It took a long time for me to convince people that I wasn't this fragile person. Now, this diagnosis didn't turn me into this fragile person who couldn't handle doing anything anymore, or hearing bad things anymore, or talking about, I think Marie mentioned earlier, the day-to-day stuff, people saying, well, I don't want to talk to you about my problems because your problems are bigger. That's no, I want to be just like the rest of you. And I learned to ask for that, and that did change over time, but I think I would caution people from putting kid gloves on when they learn that someone that they know has cancer. Because it's really important, especially coming from the position of someone with metastatic disease that's incurable, is this is the rest of my life. So I certainly don't want the rest of my life to be treated like I'm something less than I was before.
Well, Jason and Marie and Drew and Cynthia, thank you all so much for sharing today. I think this has been an incredibly rich conversation, and I'm sure everyone watching has gotten so much out of it. So thank you also for mentioning about the supports that Cancer Care does have for folks. And I think that's important, and sometimes people hear it at some point and forget, but thank you again for emphasizing that can have a shift in how you move through cancer. Thank you.